So the answer key was out as well for this. And before I start, actually, yes, there was a typo, and some of you that actually watched the correction told me that on the quiz, this last question, the X's did not appear on your PDF file. So I don't know what happened there. I did open the original file, and sure enough, it's missing. My Word document has this, but my PDF file doesn't. So technically, your final answer should still have all these components except for the X here will be missing. Okay, so, and now I recall, I think somebody said, somebody was on the chat saying, are the exponents on the numbers? And I said, everything you need to know is there, right? And that was just because on my side, I wasn't seeing that typo. So I don't know who it was. I apologize for not catching that, but I couldn't see it on my end. So. Okay, so let's go over these briefly. I may skip a few here and there, but so there's the type where you actually have to evaluate. Evaluating means you have to have a final answer, like a numeric answer, right? So we also put that under simplify, but I will most likely put down evaluate on the test, right? So then you know, okay, you want a number right at the end. And this and the basis could be decimals, right? It could be fractions, you name it. It doesn't matter. We treat them as the base, right? And do not flip anything. If the base is the same, you don't want to flip anything. Okay, so here we have all same bases. So we go the base, which is 3, of the exponent 2 plus the half minus. Okay, it's always minus, and then you go look what you have in the denominator, and it happens to be negative 3 halves. So that's one common mistake that I saw on the quiz, that you were thinking there is already a minus there, so it's just subtract. No, these two actually end up turning into a plus, right? A positive. So then you have 3, and so our common denominator is 2, right? So there's a denominator, so that would be 4 plus 1 plus 3, right? This is already out of 2. So that's basically what's happening in your exponents. You're adding halves. Okay, so that's 8 over 2. Before you do anything, simplify your exponent. That's 3 to the power of 4. No sign or anything that you need to worry about, right? The bases are all positive. So this is really 9 times 9, which is 81. Okay. Let's go over here. You have a fraction there. X, right? That's your common base. So it's X. These are multiplying across. So it's 2 plus negative 3. But then you'd be subtracting whatever is in the denominator, which is half. Okay? Don't forget your equal sign. So this would give you, we can do this first. This would give you negative 1 minus half. Okay? And then you know that, right? There's a denominator of 1. So our common denominator is 2. The 1 goes in there twice. So you multiply the numerator times 2 minus 1. And that would give you, you get negative 3 and you get a 2, right? Denominator of 2. But you're not quite done yet, okay? You cannot have negatives. There's nothing you can do, like you can't do take the root and then cube it. Like don't do that with variables. Okay, don't do that. You only do that with constants, with coefficients, with numbers. Okay, so you're almost done. This is the common mistake that I saw in the quiz. Right, so that I see a lot of students flipping this and turning it positive, but that's wrong, okay? You are essentially, if you want to look at it this way, that exponent is affecting that base. So it is the base that you flip. If you want to put it that way, that's what you're actually doing. You flip your base, not the exponent. The exponent stays the same, it just turns positive. Right? We flip that. Okay, so don't forget that, please. And some of you did the homework. Good for you. You're just observing, right? Making some minor adjustments maybe. So here we have, again, all same basis. So you can combine them all by using the exponent laws, right? So that's -3/2. And the fractions are never going to be insane. Like, they're not going to be very difficult. It's going to be fairly easy to find a common denominator. Okay, so -3/2 plus 1/4 minus, right, because this is in the denominator, -1/2. That is so key to remember. Okay, so that will turn into a positive actually. So we continue down here. Our common denominator is 4. Okay, 2 goes in there 2 times, so you multiply the top times 2, plus 4 goes in there 1 time, so just take the 1, plus, right, this turned into plus, the 2 goes in there twice, so 2 times 1 is 2. So this would give you -5. Actually, let's do this. This is 3 here, so you end up with -3/4. Oh, and I'm forgetting something already. Because I wanted to emphasize this so much that I forgot that there's still a 1/2 lingering, right? Don't drop that, please. Like that. So the half continued to be there all along, but I'm focusing on the inside first. When you get here, I would flip my base, right? Because this -3/4 affects x, right? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to flip that, turning that positive, but the half still being there. Okay? That's probably the best way to go, right? To just say, hey, there's a 1 underneath this technically. I'm going to bring that up and the x comes down. Okay? So there it is. The exponent law here tells you to multiply. I saw a lot of you adding. Okay? Exponent to another exponent, you multiply them. So that's 1/x, and I will show that 3/4 times 1/2. And that's 1/x. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 4 is 8. You keep it like that. You forgot about the -2 in question 2. Oh. Yes, I did. Thank you, Angie. I did the same thing up here. Okay. That -2 was there with me. So let's fix that. All along, there's a -2 there. You could have addressed it here already, but we flipped it, and the -2 is still there. So it's 1x 3/2 times -2 like that. These cancel out. It's just 2 goes in there once, 2 goes in there once. So it's just -1 left. So that's to the -3. So now I have to flip it again. X to the 3. Thank you, Angie. That's what it's supposed to be. My bad. Monday morning. That's why I try to stay away from Monday tests, because I know that it's a tough day to have a test, but sometimes I can't help it. Okay, next. Question 4. I know the -1 is there. Some folks like to address that right away, so they flip the whole thing. I try to not do that. I try to stay inside first. So -4 minus -8, okay? And then I have y to the -3 minus 5. All of that to the -1. Because now that I've combined everything, it's all in one line. This gives me +8, right? So that'd be positive. So you end up with +4, and this gives you -8. All of that to the -1. I address the negative inside. Right, I brought this down to the denominator. And now if it's -1, you just need to, right, flip it really. So y to the 8 over x to the 4. You don't need to have bracket to the +1 there. It's just that. Let's do this one here. I'll do the attendance later, okay? In case you're wondering. Another thing I noticed is sometimes you were simplifying, but you weren't simplifying fully, okay? So you should look at it and you should still see that, oh, it's still even, for example, keep splitting in half until I can't anymore, right? So 3 goes in here once, and 3 goes in here 25 times, okay? Because there was nothing else I needed to do upstairs or downstairs. Watch out for something like this. I will erase it right after, okay? But if you had something like this, let's say only this y had something like this affecting it, okay, you would have to multiply like 2 times -5, and it ends up being -10. So don't combine anything yet. You have to address that first, okay? I will get rid of it. But there's nothing, there are no brackets up or downstairs. So we can write it as x cubed minus -2. And then we have y to the -5 minus 7 all over 25. So the number stays down here. You can't bring that up. And this whole thing is to the -1/2. Then you have, this turns positive, right? So it's 3 plus 2, which is to the 5, y to the -12 over 25, all of that to the power of -1/2. I address that negative, x to the 5 over y to the 12, and the 25 is there as well. All that to the -1/2. Now that this is all taken care of, let's flip it. Everything in the denominator goes up and vice versa, right? And that whole thing to the 1/2. And now you apply the 1/2 to everything, and we have a number there. So it's really root of 25. If this had been 3/2, then you would go and go ahead and cube it yet, right? But in this case, it's just square root. Square root of 25. And this is really just half, right? Y to the 6, x to the 5 over 2. Okay, don't put a decimal power because it's 5 times 1/2 is 5/2, okay? Which is 5 y to the 6, x to the 5/2. There's your final answer. So the pattern is that I don't do anything with the outside exponent until I'm clean, everything is cleaned up inside. Okay, and then you move on. Okay, that one I won't do because I feel like that you should be able to take care of that one. It's very similar to question 1. Just look at the key. I posted the key as well, right? Did I post the key for this? Yeah. Next page. Let's pick a challenging one. I'll start at 9 here. Or does anybody, I'll do 9 and 11. And if anybody else has a question about the other ones, let me know. I'll go over that as well. Okay, so if you have any more questions about the other ones, I'll gladly do them. But I have more stuff in my notes that I want to go over to get you ready for the test. Okay, so here you have this times this. And you have a choice to make here. Okay, technically, if you have a -1 here, you can bring that down to the denominator and then continue like that. But the other way to do this is just apply this exponent to everything inside of it. Okay. I will do a combination of both. Okay. So I'll apply this half to all of this. So that would be square root of 16 x to the 1, right? Because 2 times 1/2 is just 1. Y to the 3 over 2, like that. And this, I'll just bring that down like this. 1 over 4xy. And the whole thing to the +1, right? Because you flip this like that, right? And then you get this, and then you have a +1, which you can get rid of. And now technically all of this that is multiplying up here is in the numerator, and everything that's down here is in the denominator, all across. Okay, so you can technically rewrite it as 4x y to the 3 over 2 over 4x y, like that. This goes to just 1. Okay, this also will go, right? If you have the same base with the same exponent, it just turns to 1. So you're really just left to deal with the y's. So it's 3/2 minus the 1 here. Okay, so that would be 1/2 y to the half, like that. You're done. All right, one more. 11. So in the numerator, I can tell something's happening here, and it's only affecting y. I look at if I can simplify the coefficients. It doesn't look like it. So it's 25x y to the 3/2 times 2. These just cancel out like that. Over 16x to the -2, y to the -3. All of that to the -1/2. Clean up inside a bit more. So you end up with 25 x to the 1 minus -2, right? It's minus the denominator, so it's there. And then it's y to the 3 minus -3. And the 16 is still down here. All of that to the -1/2. Clean it up even more. 25 This will turn positive. This will turn positive. So it's 1 plus 2, which is 3, y to the 6 over 16. All of that still to the negative 1/2. I have no negative exponents inside, so I'm just going to now flip the whole thing to turn that positive. All of that to 1/2 positive. And now you can apply this half to everything in there, and we know that it's the square root of these guys. And it's 25 square root as well. X to the 3/2, y to the 3, right? Because it's really just halving everything that's in there, all the exponents. They're multiplying, right? And you have 4 over 5, x to the 3/2, y to the 3. Bazinga. I don't know if that is still a show that everybody watches, but used to be. Okay. Does anybody have questions yet about this worksheet you would like to have clarified? Everybody good? You all look so excited, just like me on a Monday morning. All right. So we'll put that away. We'll write up we'll write some questions, and this is basically test review material. Test checklist. Okay. Estimating and ordering radicals. So you got to be able to estimate and order radicals. Classify numbers based on their groups. And I mean irrational, irrational, if it's a rational number, it could be natural, integer, real, etc. Convert radicals, right? You got to be able to go from mixed to entire and vice versa. So 2 root 3, for example, right, would go 2 squared times 3, and that's 4 times 3, that's 12 root 12, right? Cube root of 16, right, would be 8 times 2, cube root of 8 times 2, and that would be cube root of 2 cubed times 2, and because you have a group of 3 that goes out, right, so it's 2 cube root of 2 is the so you're going from mixed to entire, and you're going from entire to mixed. Okay, so you got to be able to do that. Evaluate and simplify expressions using power laws. And you got to be able to work with fractional exponents, work with negative exponents. You got to be able to find the reciprocal. Reciprocal is really flipping the base. Factoring. About 4 questions, right? So you could have difference of squares, perfect square trinomial, a is equal to 1, a is not equal to 1. Okay? And remember the rules, right? For factoring, right? The steps, I should say. And hint, hint, you can expect multivariable questions. Okay? I didn't have any multivariable last time, but it doesn't really change anything. You just have to be mindful of that extra variable that comes in there. I think that would be it. Maybe I will just also mention know how to spot a PST, right? Like what is there, what signs are you looking for on a PST, perfect square trinomial, right? Or what are you looking for in a trinomial so that you can actually say that it is a PST, okay? Okay, let's do some examples here. Just gonna see what my time is here. No, we should be fine. Write the following as mixed radicals. Let's call this question 1 here. 1a, square root of 84. And we have b, cube root of 108. Cube root, that is, sorry. Make sure that is cube. So go for it for a bit. I'll pause this here, see if you can do at least one of them. Don't worry about making a mistake, right? How would you do this if I threw a decimal at you? Okay, let's see how you did. Okay. All have the same base. Oh, I realize that they're all decimals. Right now, I'm not going to worry about it just yet. Okay, what I'm gonna use the exponent laws to bring all of these together as just one. So hopefully I'm not gonna forget about this one this time, right? So whatever it is, even if if you have some negatives in there, don't worry about it just yet, right? So you know it's 0.25, 1/4 plus 1/2 minus 5/4. All of that still to the power of 3. Okay, next line equals 0.25. I'm going to clean that up a bit. If you'd like to do the fractions on the side here, by all means go for it, right? So if you dedicate a space on here, we know that this right here gives us -4/4 plus 1/2. That'd be -1 plus 1/2. And here you can just tell you end up with a -1/2, right? So that gives you -1/2 there. I'm going to put this in brackets like that, all of that to the power of 3. You can go ahead and multiply these if you'd like. Okay, if you want to, there's nothing wrong with it. I will take care of this one. Right now, at this point, I would turn this into a fraction. If you did that right away, good for you. But because this as a fraction would be 25 over 100. And you know it's just a quarter, right? We know it's a quarter, -1/2, all the way to the 3, right? And so 25 goes in there 1 time, 25 goes in there 4 times. So we know it's 1/4. I'm going to flip that and turn the exponent to a positive half, all of that times 3. Take the square root of 4 if you'd like, and cube it. So that's 2 cubed, and that's just 8. And you have your final answer there. And I know there's many ways of doing that. As long as it's consistent, I don't really mind. So let's say over here, you would have had 1/4 to a -1/2 times 3. Like you go ahead and multiply these two. That's 1/4 to a -3/2, right? You flip the inside to make it positive, and then it's square root of 4 to the power of 3. That's 2 cubed, and that's 8. So you arrive to the same destination either way. But sometimes it's strategic, it's easier to do something before you do something else. Okay. All right, let's try this one here. What is our time? 24. I think I'm going to do one more and then we'll do some factoring. So here we go. And I will really load the bases here, basically. And do not skip 2 or 3 steps along the way. especially if you're writing this online. If you're ever doing an AC, I need to see every step. Okay. I know that what technology is out there, right? And I need to see every step so that I can see, because if you do this, everybody will do it slightly differently. And that's very okay with me. I actually look forward to that. So give this a couple minutes. Let's go 4 minutes. See. All right. Power of 2, it's even. So I'm expecting that to turn positive, right? There's a -1 here technically. So no worries there. So that's 64. X to the -4, because you multiply them. Y to the 8 over 2, -2 squared is just 4 positive. X squared, y to the -6. All of that still to the -1/4. Okay. We can cancel this out. 4 goes in here 1 time. 4 goes in there 16 times. No. 18, right? No. 16. Because it's 24. Yeah. My bad. Must be Monday after a time change. Okay. -4 minus 2. And then it's y to the 8 minus -6. Watch the double negative. Okay, so you get that. And next line would be 16. X to the -6. Y to the, this is an addition here. So 8 plus 6, that's 14. All of that still to the -1/4. And I'm still letting it linger there, okay? I'm going to take care of this guy. X to the 6. All of that now, this is positive, right? Sorry, not yet. Never mind. I just brought that one down. And now I'm going to flip it, okay? So x to the 6 over 16. No negatives here anywhere, okay? You're just flipping it, turning that exponent. So you're actually dealing just with the negative by doing that, by flipping it. And now you're going to multiply, and there's a number, right? So we have to actually figure out what the fourth root is of 16, right? So we know that this is 6 over 4. We'll simplify that in a bit. We need to take the fourth root of 16, and we need to go y to the 14 over 4 as well, right? And so we know that this simplifies to 3 over 2. This is just 2. And this is 4 goes in there 1, 2 goes in there 2 times, 2 goes in there 7 times. So it's y to the 7 over 2, like that. So you don't want any outside exponent left. You multiply them out if you have to. And we took the fourth root of that. Okay? And everything is positive. Let's try this one. Before we factor. This one, is just written in an interesting way, but there's nothing to fear. What if you have something like that? It's just the way it's written that's going to throw you off here, but really you know what to do with this, okay? Because technically it's there are two fractions here, even though this doesn't look like a fraction, it's out of one, right? So you can multiply the tops and divide by the denominator, okay? So this is really saying this times x to the 2 times y to the negative 5 over 2 times x to the negative 3 over x to the negative 2, y to the 3. That's all it is. Like, you can get rid of the brackets. Everything in the numerator is multiplying. Everything in the denominator is multiplying, and just turn it into one big expression. And you know that, right? For example, x, right? There's an x there, there's an x there, and there's an x there. So we combine them all. We use x to the 2 plus negative 3 because it's in the numerator, right? So we got to add that minus the one that's in the denominator, which is negative 2. And then you go y, and notice that when I do this, I always keep everything in the numerator. Everything goes up basically. So I'm starting with what I have on top, negative 1/2 plus negative 5 over 2, this one, minus 3, like that. And so this turns positive. So it's really 2 minus 3 is negative 1, plus 2 is positive 1, so it's x to the 1. Y of negative half and negative 5 over 2, that's negative 6 over 2. So these two end up being negative 6 over 2, which is just negative 3, right? That's negative 3 minus 3, that's negative 6. And that just turns out to be x over y over 6. Just bring the 6 down to the denominator and you're done. So don't let that fool you. It's still, you can do it. You know what to do there. And now we'll do some factoring to finish off the day. Go back and watch that quiz correction video, right, if you want some more feedback, because I had marked about half of the quizzes and then I made that video. So it was fresh, like those mistakes that you were making, I was addressing those there, the common errors, okay? Because I don't have a lot of time, I'm gonna do basically a lot of things at the same time with this one. Factor fully, right? Because time is limited, I'll have to go through this right away. The first thing is you want to see if you need to rewrite it. And the answer is no, because you have two square variables, so just leave it. You need to take out a negative? Not really, because the leading coefficient here is not negative. Is there a GCF? Absolutely, they're all even, right? So you go like this, equals 2, that's 2z squared, minus 27zy minus 14y squared, like that. So you did the GCF part, great. Is it a DOS? Definitely not, because there's 3, right? Difference of squares is just 2. Is it a PST? The middle isn't even, right? So it can't be a PST. Is it A equals to 1? Nope. It's A not equal to 1. We need to use the matrix. And it's multivariable, I might add, right? If the middle has 2 variables and then you have another one, there's something we need to make sure we do. The factors of the first one is just 1 and 2. The factors of the last one is 2, 7, I guess, would be 1. Watch this though. Careful, because a lot of you made a mistake here. C is negative. That means that one of these has to be negative, right? They're gonna have opposite signs. So you can choose to do this first. So that's -7 and 4. You know already that that's not gonna work out for you, right? This is not it. So you flip that. So 1, 2, 7, 2 like this, and you can make the top negative if you want, right? So that's -14. And I know you're like, why is he doing all the wrong ones first, right? Because I want you to know that this could be a longer process. So this is not working out for me. I'm going to resort to 1, 2, and 1, 14. And I'm going to put the 14 up here, okay? Because I already see what's happening. And one of them has to be negative, right? So this is -28 plus 1. That's -27. That's -27. It's very important. So this one works out, okay? This one works out. So I'm going to use this matrix here to get me get the factoring going. You put that 2 down, then it's Z minus 14, watch this, Y. That's where the extra challenge comes in. And then it's 2Z plus 1, which is just Y here. And that's how you know you got it right. So you're checking if you were to multiply the ends, you get a -14y squared, which is what you want. If you do the double smiley face, right, this is -28zy. And at the ends, you get just zy positive. That's -27zy. So you're good. But if I will highlight this because you can't say things often enough, right? Factors of C will have opposite signs. Go back in your notes and check that it's there. If C is positive, then both factors have the same sign as B. Okay, so it's actually a lot quicker because you're not guessing where the signs go. Okay. If you want to review, I will tell you to grab this other handout, which I already told you about. You should have it. Let me just clean this up here. Looks like this. It has some factoring and some simplifying expressions. This one here. The answers are at the back. Should be. Yeah, they are. So that one it has some factoring and some simplifying expressions. If you would like some textbook stuff. So let me write this down so it's on record. Review radicals and factoring. Review worksheet and textbook, page 246. And there's lots of stuff there. 1 to 9, 11, 12, 14, 17 to 19, 24, 28 to 30. And the more you do, the better prepared you will be. Some of them are challenging. There could be some that I haven't covered. If you come across something that I haven't covered, you don't have to worry about it. I will only test you on things that you have seen. Okay, I'm not going to test you on things you haven't seen in this unit. All right. Have a good one.